Hey, what's up guys? We covered the OnePlus 7 Pro a while back, and now it's time for its little brother, the OnePlus 7. It comes at a bit lower price, but what else are you missing out on? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. To OnePlus fans, the OnePlus 7 looks quite familiar. Its design is almost identical to last year's model, the 6T, with a glass back and an aluminum frame. Ours is in a shiny mirror gray, and the curved and tapered back looks quite elegant and smooth. It is quite a fingerprint magnet though, and the camera bump does cause some wobble on a flat surface, so maybe a case would be a good idea. Back again is the alert slider we're used to from OnePlus, handy if you want to quickly mute your phone. While the OnePlus 7 feels sturdy, it doesn't have official water or dust resistance. There is a red rubber seal around the SIM tray though, so there is some protection against light splashes. While we're talking about the SIM tray, I should mention that storage isn't expandable here. You'll have to make do with 128 or 256 gigs built in. Still quite a lot though. On the front, we have a tall 6.4-inch AMOLED display with 1080p resolution. The bezels are slim, and there's a small water drop notch up at the top, which you do have the option to hide. You get those super deep AMOLED blacks, and content looks great. Max brightness in manual mode is good, the same as last year's 6T at 443 nits, but now you get a boost up to 642 nits in auto mode in bright conditions. Color accuracy is also impressive, depending on your color settings. There is something like an always-on display, though not quite. It only lights up if you move or tap on the phone, or receive a notification. An improvement over last year is the inclusion of stereo speakers on the OnePlus 7. It's a hybrid setup, with the earpiece acting as the second speaker. Quality overall is pretty nice. Loudness is very good, and sound is rich. If you're going to plug in headphones, however, you'll need to use the USB-C port, as there's no audio jack. And we're sorry to say that there's no dongle or headphones included in the box. We did test the output using a passive adapter we had, and volume wasn't too impressive, but clarity was great, with excellent stereo separation. But keep in mind that if you use an active adapter, you may get different results. To wake up and unlock the OnePlus 7, there is an optical under-display fingerprint reader. It's been improved over last year's model, and is incredibly reliable. One of the fastest and most accurate that we've ever tried. One cool feature here is called Quick Launch. You can open shortcuts for apps or certain actions by holding down on the fingerprint area after the phone unlocks. There is the option to use facial recognition to unlock the phone too, but since it only uses the selfie cam, it isn't as secure as a fingerprint. The user interface is OnePlus's Oxygen OS, running over Android 9 Pie. It looks a lot like stock Android, and runs quite fast, partly because it cuts down on a lot of those UI animations. You can navigate using on-screen keys, Google's pill setup, or OnePlus's own swipe gestures, whichever you're more comfortable with. And there is a gaming mode which can allocate more resources to your games for better performance, as well as silence notifications while you're playing. Games will run quite well too, thanks to the top-of-the-line Snapdragon 855 chipset with either 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. The Adreno 640 GPU handles graphically intensive tasks with ease, and performance in benchmarks is in line with the other flagships running on a Snapdragon 855. That is to say, excellent. The OnePlus 7 has a 3700 mAh battery, and though it isn't the largest power pack out there these days, its performance is impressive. It posted an excellent endurance rating of 102 hours in our proprietary tests. The battery also charges up quite quickly using the 20-watt fast charger. We were able to go from 0 to 55% in half an hour. The OnePlus 7 has a dual camera setup. There's a 48 megapixel main cam with a quad barrier filter and OIS, and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Sadly, unlike most of its competitors, there's no telephoto or wide-angle cam here. Regular shots come out in 12 megapixels, and the ones we took in good light look great. They have nice detail, basically no noise, good contrast, vibrant colors, and wide dynamic range, about the same quality as on the OnePlus 7 Pro. You do have the option in Pro mode to switch to shooting in 48 megapixels, but there isn't much point in doing so. These take up way more space, and you don't get that much more detail. Moving on to portrait mode. These shots look good, with natural skin tones and plenty of detail. The edge detection is quite accurate. Even with a more complex background, the phone does pretty well. Let's see how the OnePlus 7 does in low light. Regular photos taken with the main cam are decent. Resolve detail isn't great, but noise is reasonable, and dynamic range is nicely wide, preserving many light sources well instead of blowing them out. If you turn on the dedicated night mode, the quality improves significantly. The exposure is more accurate, you get extra detail in the shadows and highlights, and colors look punchier. Now on to selfies. The OnePlus 7 uses a 16-megapixel front shooter with fixed focus. The images it produces have good colors and decent dynamic range. The OnePlus 7 supports 4K video recording from the main cam at up to 60 FPS. Video quality is decent, with accurate colors, good contrast, and little noise. Dynamic range is also good. We've seen better detail from the competition though. Videos in both 4K and 1080p at 30 FPS have electronic stabilization, which does a great job in smoothing out your footage at the expense of a small reduction in the field of view. So that's the OnePlus 7. Overall, it's a great flagship phone. You get a brilliant AMOLED screen, awesome performance, stereo speakers, excellent battery life, and a nice camera. As far as shortcomings go, there is the lack of a headphone jack. Storage isn't expandable and you don't have water resistance. But these are about par for the course for OnePlus phones these days. But probably the biggest concern about the OnePlus 7 is where it sits in the marketplace. It's hard not to compare it to phones which pack a triple camera setup. And there are competitors which can offer similar high quality features for less money. Phones are just getting too good these days. So although the OnePlus 7 is a great phone, you don't need a price reduction before it earns our full recommendation. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.